What up, though, y'all? Once again, it's your man, Dr. Short, talking and doing stuff. And I'm just out on a Saturday morning, just getting some steps in. It's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mama. May 31st. She left us in 2022. And I'm just out reflecting on, some of the stuff she did for me that made me who I am today. I don't know where this video is going, but I'm just walking, getting some steps in one of our beautiful parks here in Saginaw, Michigan. See the water behind me and everything. Getting a little exercise, getting a little fresh air, getting a little natural vitamin D. Thinking about Mama. I'm a doctor of education, and thinking back on how my mom used to kind of manage homework and grades and stuff like that, let me say this. If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't be so concerned with my kids' grades, their grades in school, but I would be so much more concerned with what they're learning. A lot of times we see report cards and everything, and they're getting A's and B's and things like that, but we're not checking to see if they're, what they're learning. I can remember my mom, she would make me sit down and learn those times tables. She would make me sit down and read things, and she gave me resources to do the work that I had to do. She bought us encyclopedias. We didn't have Google and the internet and all that stuff. But she did make sure that we had dictionaries, we had the Funkin' Wagnalls encyclopedias. And no matter what my grades were, she ensured that there was some learning going on. And I'm talking about in the earlier years. In the later years, I think that, to be truthful, I became a handful. And I became hard to manage. If I can go back in time, that's another thing that I would change. So she was busy. At a certain point, she became too busy trying to just keep me alive, as opposed to really ensuring my learning and things like that, because I really became a handful for my mom. And if I can go back in time, I would be a better son. But going back to today, for you parents today, even if your kid is getting A's or your child is getting A's and B's on their report card, and it appears that they're doing good in school, I would still ensure that some learning is occurring. So you really got to sit down and talk to your kid and seeing what they're learning, seeing what they know, all right? Because they could be getting an A in a subject and not know anything about it. If you don't believe that our education system in America is flawed, I got news for you. Newsflash, it's flawed. So you can't just send your kid to school and expect them to be learning everything that they need to learn to be successful in life. I wonder if I can fish in this water right here. I'm gonna grab my fishing pole. But you gotta check their learning. And you gotta check what kind of worldview that they're coming up with in school, or that they're teaching them in schools, all right? You may think that they're learning certain things, but They could be creating creating their own different worldview than the worldview that you thought or you desire for them to have. Now, of course, at a certain point in time, kids are going to form their own worldview. So, like, let's say you're a Christian, and you take your kids to church, and, eventually, at some point in time, they're going to decide whether or not to continue that route. Their worldview is going to change. It could change. Hopefully, they'll stay the route, and hopefully the seeds that you sown, will continue through their life. But that's their choice eventually. But when they're younger, that's something that you should be managing. You can't let the educational system form your child's worldview. You should be doing that as parents. All right? Just think about this. If you're not giving your children any information, you're not planting any type of seeds in their life to give them a worldview, their entire worldview is going to be formed by the 8 hours that they're not with you. So, what they learn in school, what they learn waiting for the bus, what they learn hanging out with their friends, what they learn in the lunchroom, what they learn in the classroom, some of which is good and some of which is not, is going to form their worldview. If you don't have any input on that, no telling how your child is going to turn out. So, I formed my own worldview when I became intelligent enough to do so. However, I'm 54 years old. I'll be 55 this year. The worldview that I have the worldview that I have today was still influenced heavily by my mother and the things that she did and the things that she said I should do and the things that she wouldn't let me do. Did I rebel sometime against the things that she didn't want me to do? Of course I did. More times than not, I realized that if I'd have listened to my mom, I wouldn't be in trouble right now. How many of y'all have ever been in that situation where your mom or your dad or a parent, somebody told you, don't do something, and you decided to do it anyway? And then, while you're in the midst of it, maybe something popped off, maybe something broke out, and now you're like, dang, if I'd have just listened to mom or dad or whoever told me to not do this, I wouldn't be in this situation right now. Well, plenty of times, my mom said, hey, don't do this. But I was like, you know what? She don't know what she's talking about. She's just an old fogey. She don't know what's popping in these Detroit streets these days. She don't know what having fun is like. But I wasn't watching the news. I didn't realize that, the party that I was trying to go and DJ at on the east side, there had been some stuff going on over there that my mom saw on the news, that, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on over here. I don't want my son going over there. So when I was trying to go over there, she's like, don't go over there. And I'm like, why you trying to stop me from having fun? Well, she wasn't trying to stop me from having fun. She was trying to keep me alive. Do you know when I realized that? Man, it was years into my adulthood that I realized it. And then there was a lot of things I realized with my own kids that I'm like, I didn't realize what my mom was doing, her thought process behind some of the things she did, some of the things she wouldn't let me do or didn't want me to do until I had my own kids. And then I had that aha moment, like, aha, now I know what Miss Short was doing. All right. But I really believe if I'd have understood more and listened to her more back in the day, I'd have had less times I would have had less coulda, woulda, shouldas. Dang it, I wish I'd have done this. Dang it, I wish I'd have listened to her and did this. Because believe it or not, what you do as a kid, especially, I say middle school is that time. It is very important that you as a parent really dig into your kids' lives and know what's being put into them during the middle school time. Because that's when they're forming their worldview. That's a very critical time, especially for a young man. It is very important that you know what's going on in your kid's life all the time, but middle school is that time. Wow. I thought this was a trail that went all the way around, but right now I'm on I can't go all the way around. I got to turn around and go back. All right. But I guess I can fish it here. There's somebody in the boat over there behind me fishing, if you can see him. But anyway, middle school. That's the time when things really start to pop off in a young man's life, and probably a young lady's life as well. I can only speak for a young man's life because that's what I went through. That's the time when, that's the wrong time to detach. That's the wrong time to, and I learned, if I can go back in time, I'd most definitely been more involved in my kids' life in middle school than I was, as opposed to letting the education system and letting them form their own worldview. Granted, they're gonna have to form their own worldview, and there's things they're gonna have to learn about on their own. But they need guidance. There was times I needed guidance in middle school, and it was like, okay, what I'm gonna do? And I figured it out for myself. All right. It pays to have a relationship with your kids where they can talk to you and tell you anything, especially in middle school. All right. So my mom did the best she could, and I believe that I was, like I said, I was making things hard for her. I know that for a fact. And so she leaned heavily on punitive practices as opposed to restorative practices. And I get that, because I was a bad kid. So everything was more disciplinary as opposed to restorative. So because of that, when I got approached at school by the dope dealers, when I got approached at school and in them Detroit streets by the people that said, hey, do this for me and I'll give you a couple dollars. When I got approached by, when I started, smashing before I was supposed to have been smashing and doing all this stuff, I didn't want to talk to my mom about it. I didn't want to bring it up. Why? Because her method was heavily punitive as opposed to restorative. So, and I do believe that we only know what we know. And I probably use my mom's methods with my kids to a certain extent. So I know that that sky's beautiful. There's a lot of things that they're probably going through or went through. They're all grown now, doing pretty good. But I know there's some things that they were going through that they probably wished they could have said, hey, Daddy, can I talk to you for a second? There's some things I'm going through that I want to talk to you about. That they probably didn't do that because they were scared of getting punished. Because now that I look back at it, in this reflective moment here in this beautiful park in Saginaw, my disciplinary measures with my kids were heavily punitive and not restorative. So I'm pretty sure they kept me in the dark on a bunch of stuff that if they'd have brought me into their situation, there's some things today that they're going through because of it that they wouldn't be going through. I'm just walking and talking, y'all. I'm just vibing. But we really need to, that's something that's got to change. We can't make assumptions that our kids are learning learning everything that they need to learn in school. Also, I'm pretty sure there's things that you want your kids to know that the school system is not going to teach them. Again, reflecting on some of the ways I did things. If I could go back in time, I really would do things a lot differently. And kids. Your parents are figuring it out as well. When your parents had you, they don't become a perfect parent. Parenting is hard. Parenting is hard for two parents in the house. Just think how hard it is for one parent in the house. Again, something else that if I'd have realized and really truly thought about, I probably would have made some different life choices. That's I-75 right there behind me. But anyway, kids, if your parents are doing the best they can, show them a little grace. And don't be so hard on them. Try not to make life so hard on them. Be considerate. Think about them before you start doing stupid stuff. Because even though they're parents, They're supposedly grown. There's no manual on parenting. They're figuring it out as they go along. The better you treat them, the better things will probably be. Make life easier on your parent. At the risk of being corny, because I know parents don't know anything, do they? I know my mom, she didn't know anything. She ain't know nothing. She ain't know about DJing, what it meant for me to go out there and play music and make people dance. She ain't know about that. She ain't know nothing. So I thought, but I will say this. I know some of the things that she did do, even though I didn't like it, kept me alive. I know some of the things she did do, kicking me out the house and locking me out the house and telling everybody that, hey, if you take them in, you're cut off, and couldn't even go to my sister's house, and found myself for a period of time in Detroit homeless. It made me think. I didn't like it back then. But I tell you what, if she hadn't done that, if she wouldn't have became fed up and said, you know what, you don't have a home no more, and had me, which put me in a situation that was it was a horrible situation that caused me to join the military, because I didn't see another way out. I was like, you know what? I got to get out of Detroit, because during my time not having a home, I tried to do some stuff that I was kind of clumsy at, that made me, I put it this way. Had I not made the decision to join the military, I wouldn't be making this video right now. I would either be in jail because of a kill or be killed situation, or I'd be dead. Because I had made it up in my mind that I wasn't gonna go to jail, and that if it came down to it, I was gonna go out in a blaze. But because of my mom's decision and some of the things that happened after that decision, and some of the seeds that she sowed prior to that, I realized that, you know, what I'm doing is not right. And what I'm doing is not a sustainable life. What I'm doing right now is not a sustainable lifestyle. So it's either find another way of life that's sustainable, or die. And I stand here today to make this video because I'm still here. And that's all I got to say about that. Dr. Short, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership, out.